I request the photographers to please have a seat. Like me, I'm sure everyone here is wondering what prompted you to write The Hard Truth.
Thank you very much, Sanaya. Before I say that, coming here today, and especially to John Abraham for coming and honoring me. So over the last 18 years in my medical practice, I have found that though a lot of people have suffered and though there's so much information on heart disease out there still is a lot of ignorance out there. There still is a lot of ignorance out there, and today actually we live in an age of the alternative facts. That term has become popular, and with WhatsApp and with this misinformation going, I thought I'll try and clarify it and write a book called The Hard Truth. The idea is to educate the readers, plus to remove fear from the minds of people with heart disease, that now their life is over if they've suffered. In fact, I believe that life begins after heart disease rather than ending after heart disease. My motto for my patients is they should be better than before. In my prologue, actually, I have a brave heart crossing the finish line of the Bombay Marathon, not the 21 kilometers, the full marathon, after bypass surgery. And the media mobbed him, wondering why, because he was the first person to run the full marathon in Mumbai after bypass surgery. And in fact, Dhananjay Yalurkar is sitting amongst us. So Dhananjay, can you just stand up for a sec? So since then, he's gone on to run Berlin, Chicago, New York, and a number of other full marathons as well. So basically, I wrote the book to dispel myths around the subject, to give confidence to people that life begins after heart disease and doesn't end after. So that's the reason for writing.
That's so interesting. Thank you. Now that we have covered the prologue of the session, I invite you and and John Abraham to please unveil the book. Once the photographers are done, the videographers will get their chance as well. Get their chance first, and then it will be done again for the videographers. Photographers, please have a seat. Getting back, distracted from the delicious. You truly are an international fitness and health icon for youngsters and adults alike. But I'm curious, what does good health?
No, I eat 3, 4, 5 times a day. But my trainer asked me to have a cheat meal. I don't think I've had a cheat meal in I don't know how many years. I haven't touched aerated drinks in 20 plus years, and I think it's a way of life for me. So it's not me beating my chest and telling people, hey, listen, today I avoided having this, avoided having that. I think it's I enjoy the space that I'm in, and I love Parsi food. I love my Patrani Machli. So, but at the same time, I'm predominantly vegetarian. I have egg whites, and I have complex carbohydrates, like I have my oatmeal after my workout, and I just feel good about myself, and I try and keep it clean, and I try and keep it really, really light. So I'm very energetic from early morning, and I really don't feel tired. But towards 9:30, I start building like a flower, like I just go down like this, because I think I need another pit stop of food. Otherwise, I'm gone.
So what kind of motivates you to be this consistent and this regular? One of the things we tell our patients is that it's not doing dramatic things for a short period of time which is going to give you success. It's doing relatively simple things, but again and again and again, which is sort of going to give you that long-term success. So what's the driving force? I mean, is it your profession? Is it?
Yeah, I think to be partly true, and if I must confess, it's also my profession, but it's also a way of life for me. And I think I'm the perfect example of someone who doesn't go into any extreme cases of doing things to change myself around. I think it's gradual, it's progressive, and I take a lot of care when I kind of have to lose weight, or when I have to put on weight, when I have to run, when I have to do strength training. So I really don't get excited about being dramatic about it, but I'm careful with my diet.
Sorry.
Okay.
We're closing it at about 6:40. May
Okay.
I open the floor up to questions?
Okay, so actually before, you'll find this question, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but before we sort of open up the floor to questions, and while I just want to say a few thank yous. I want to thank my friend Mark. Where's Mark? Mark Manuel for for putting the evening together, and for inviting John. Thank you, Sanaya and Kajal, for helping out. Thank you to the entire publishers team, the Westland team. Thank you to Crossword for helping putting this together. And this book actually is a distillation of all that I've learned from my patients. So I really need to thank my patients and the people who are part of my life to have been part of this. So Mr. Rajan Javeri is there, he's part of the book. Mr. Arun Sheth is there, he's part of the book. So they're all, in fact, Mr. Arun Sheth, Vivek, you'll enjoy this. On the first marathon that we did in 2004, he was among the group of 25 heart disease patients who ran, and Times of India got so excited, it actually made him take his shirt out to show the scar, and he's doing his roar on the scar. There's a page 3 of Times of India in 2004, just before the marathon. So he's out there. Anil and Vivek Singh, the marathon forms a big part of my life. Anil also forms a part of the book, which I will not disclose. You'll have to read that. Who else? Mr. Venkat, I'd seen him earlier. I think it's lost somewhere out here. So he had heart disease, and not only did he run after that, he's actually formed something called a Zippers Club. So the zipper is people who have a scar in the middle. We call that the Zipper Club. So people with bypass surgery, and they run after that. Ms. Bhavna Kothari is there. She's an example of a lady with heart disease. Mrs. Sadarangani was there. Aruna, I saw her there, but unfortunately, yes. So she's out here. So thank you. And again, a lot of the book is conversational, so it's really who I am, and who I am has been shaped by my family. They're sitting out here, my mother, my father, thank you very much, my wife, my daughter, my sister, I can't see her, oh my God, you got the ringside seat, so thank you. Thank you to my friends and my work colleagues who are more like friends than colleagues. And to my hospital, the Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital, for really providing a environment which we can really go out and do the kind of work we want to do. Dr. Dawars, our medical director, he couldn't be here. He had a surgery in the family just this morning. So thanks to him, Mr. Mahesh Kamdar, Ms. Avni Mehta, and big thanks to Mrs. Meeta Ambani, the chairperson of the Reliance Foundation Hospital, for setting it up. It truly is a visionary hospital and fabulous infrastructure. So please do come. Thank you to the media for coming here. Thank you so much for coming and supporting. And thank you, John. I mean, for so readily and so literally straight from the heart. We met you and you said yes, like literally in 5 minutes. John's not just an icon of health and fitness. I think he's an icon of just modesty and humility, and in spite of all the success, he really is the boy next door. You read about that in you read about that in papers and magazines, and often these things sound very cliched, but in my experience, I can certainly say that's not a cliche. So, and thank all of you for taking off time and for honoring me and coming for the book. So, we'll open up the floor to questions from the media, from the audience. Yes, the youngest person has a question. Can you give a gift to him? I'm sure. Yes.
Are the chocolates? Are the chocolates?
Oh, there's a special gift for you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really kind.
Any questions?
We're taking questions from the audience, and then we can also take questions from the media.
Mind, and which is why there's actually an interesting study. It's called the Interheart study, which looked at 50,000 people with heart attacks from 26 different countries. And what they found, they call it psychosocial factors. Okay, so they looked at stress, they looked at anger, hostility, depression in one umbrella, and they found that that's one of the 9 main causes for people to get heart attacks. The unfortunate thing about stress is that you can't measure it. I can measure your cholesterol and say it's 200. I can measure your blood pressure and say it's 120 by 80. I can measure your sugar and say it's 150. But I can't measure stress. So there's very difficult to sort of correlate it. The other important point is people deal with stress differently. So living in a city like this, stress is part of our life. I'm sure for most of you to reach here at 6 o'clock in the evening was stressful, right? So stress is part of normal life. It's when stress becomes distress, that's when it becomes a problem. And people also deal with it differently. So let's talk about an executive kind of a person, a white collar worker. The stock market falls by 500 points. He's all stressed, he cannot sleep. But the guy who is, working as a class 4 employee in that same office, the stock market doesn't cause stress to him. But if he ended up losing 50 rupees or 100 rupees, he might not sleep that night, while the executive wouldn't have a problem with that. So people handle stress differently. So stress is not bad. Stress makes us perform. Okay, when we had the fight or flight, in the olden days, the ancestors ran away from lions and tigers because of stress. So stress is not a bad thing. But when in excess, it does affect all body parts. So yes.
Yeah, it's regular for me. It's normal. I just change the kind of workout I do and the kind of diet I have. But it's systematic and it's a long process for me. I can't do it quickly and I can't do it overnight. I wish I could say that, but I'm not Superman. So it takes me time, but I increase my cardio, I increase the time I run for, stuff like that. So it's just regular. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it the whole evening, but it's just about lifestyle.
Actually, so you tell me there are certain people who are weak by heart. They see very small thing, certain thing, and they get scared. There are certain people who see very damn thing, but still they are not scared. So can you tell us something about why it is like this?
Okay, so firstly, when we say weak by heart, see, the heart is very interesting. It's always used as a seat of emotion.
Yes.
Actually, the heart is not really in that sense. Its function is just to act as a pump of blood. The heart is a very simple organ. It's not complex like the brain or the kidneys or the liver. But still, over the years, you've got this thing about the heart, occupying a big space in someone's mind. So when you say the person's weak-hearted and they get scared of situations, that really isn't anything to do with their heart. They're just more psychologically scared. So it's their mind which is really weaker than their heart. In fact, yes, I know this lady, she's got, yes. So actual weak heart is when the pumping capacity of your heart, when that gets reduced because of a heart attack, that's when we call it a weak heart. So it's not psychological.
I'm really privileged to attend this.
Would you use it when you're doing cardio so that you know whether you're pushing your limits or?
Yeah, I honestly see nothing wrong with it, but today I've probably reached a point when I'm running. I know when I touch 160, when I touch 165, I know when I'm going down to 130, I know when I'm really down to 80, 85. So it's also because of years of training, I've understood my body, I know where I'm meant to push till. But I think it's important because I think, yeah, so I think it's important that you do, in my books, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's important because, even working out is and losing weight or gaining muscle, etc. is a very scientific process. For example, some people like me, if we, or in general, if I run above 165, I'm burning muscle. If I run below 130, I'm wasting my time. But if I'm running between 130 and 165, I'm probably burning some amount of fat. And it's different for each person. So if it helps you regulate what you're doing, and that's what actually interval training is about. When you're really slow, you start walking, then you start running. It's about keeping your heart rate at a certain level to kind of burn some amount of fat. And I do recommend it, and I've tried all HRMs in my life and heart rate monitors in my life, and some work, some don't. So for me, it's more like what's the next best thing that I can try.
I guess it's intuitive for you. Now you sort of learn to.
It's intuitive.
You know
yeah.
when you're at 160 and you know when you're at 130.
I know exactly, when I'm on the Stairmaster, and I know by the 13th minute, I know I'm going to be at about 164, 165. I literally know
Really?
my heart rate exactly. But it's also, like you said, it's intuition and it's understanding your body. So I've got used to it.
But that's so important to be in sync with your body. I think that's, from both of you, that's what we have to take away from here. Any more questions?
Yes, yes.
Sir.
I would like to introduce myself as one of the patients of Dr. Contractor.
Welcome.
For pretty long, 14 years. I was detected with a blockage, and when I went to the hospital, I think he gave what encouragement and what regime, and that helped me in not getting operated, not having stent, and still I'm running myself. For 14 years I am going to cardiac care, and only because of his inspiration. And when I saw this book, I have sent it to almost 15 people, saying that you should follow this, and then your life can be better. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Probably the best testimonial coming from Auntie and coming from you, sir. Auntie, you said that, he held your hand and he made you, and you're thin. I need to hold your hand because I need to lose weight now. So I'll hold your hand and then we'll go for walks together.
If you hold her hand, the heart rate might go up very high. And I'm a little worried about that. That 160 zone might be exceeded. All right. Yes, ma'am.
My question is to you, Dr. Contractor.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Contractor. Yeah, I request no one to come up on stage, please.
Stop it right now.
Make way, make way. John. John, go to the John.
Bye, John.
Side